Welcome viewers, I am Ranjit from Great Online Training. I am a R programmer. Hope you're enjoying the lecture series where we are learning R and SAS interchangeably. So if you have not watched the previous video, please do that. You can find the link in the description. Okay, and also provide the questions or feedback if you have any. And we are also running the paid courses. So for that you can visit our website www.createonlinetraining.com. Okay, so let's move to the agenda of today's presentation. So in the previous video, we saw the conditional operators like switch, if, for, while, and other conditional statement and their example, right? Today we'll see some built-in function in R, right? So there are three types of built-in function basically in R. So first is string functions. So here we have str split, to lower, to upper, str2 title, str2 sentence, grab, sub, paste Jira, right? Similarly, we have a statistical function like strung, round, sum, mean, absolute, minimum, maximum, standard deviation, median, range, quartile, etc. Right? And if we talk about the mathematical functions, so here we have ceiling, floor, absolute, square root, right? Log, base 10. So the first is log, this is log, natural log, right? So, and then the second is log base 10. Then we have exponential function, then sine function, and then we have a cos function, right? Okay, so without further ado, let's move to the R Studio. I will see this function one by one. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me check the working directory first here. So as usual, it is in C drive. Let me move to D drive. I will not call any dataset today, but for saving the datasets, saving the workspace, I just wanted to save into D drive so that it will be easier for me to extract this code or extract the workspace, right? Okay, let me convert this backward slash to forward one. Let me run this with control enter. Let me check the working directory once again. So this is in D drive, perfect. So now good to go. And now I'll show you the string function first, right? Okay, so now we'll see first the string function. So string, let me comment here so that it will be easier for you to understand. Let me create one character vector. Welcome to Create Online Training. Okay, so perfect. So let me use here substr. So substr is used to extract a particular string from a character vector, right? So this basically works on character vector. Character vector works on character vector, right? And it is used to extract a subset or part of string from character vector. Okay, so let me use here. I will use this function. Let me comment so that it will be easier for. So first we'll write sub steer, right? And if you see here, we have x, then start and stop the values, right? So if I write here, the first of all we have to provide the string. So string is a, right? Let me start from 2 and then we'll stop here at 5, right? So what it does, it starts from second position, right? And it print up to position 5, right? So second position is E, then third is L, then fourth is C, and fifth is O, right? So it print from E to O, right? So let me add here print You see, it start from E and it printed till O, right? Okay, so this is very useful when we have wanted to extract particular string from a character vector, right? So this is the one functionality. Okay, so let me create another variable here. Let me create x, and we'll write here grade online training. Okay, so let me use here some function to lower. Let me comment this. So as name suggests, so this is used to convert string or character string or character vector to lowercase or small letter. Okay, so let me check the, okay, so let me create here, let me use the, okay, so let me use here print then to lower, right, and we'll provide here the, okay, so let me run first. Okay, so if you see, so all letter is converted, so this is complete vector of character type, right, is converted into a lowercase, right, or a small letter converted into a small letter, right? So similarly we have function to upper. Okay, so let me write here x. So you see this vector of, so vector x is converted into a capital letter, right? So all the letter is converted into a capital letter. Okay, so now we'll see how to convert the string or character vector into a sentence letter or prop case, right? So for that I have to install one library here. So install dot packages, so the library name is string r, right? So I have already installed that library, so I will not do that. So those who have not installed, maybe you can use this function install dot packages, and in the parentheses you have write string r to install that packages, right? So I have already installed, so I will just call here. Okay, string r, let me call, perfect. So now I'll create one character vector, or maybe I can use the same character vector here and I'll convert to Str2 title or Str2 sentence, and let's see the functionality there, right? So the first is str underscore to title, right? So what it does, it converts in such a way so that the first letter of each word is converted into a capital. So if you see here, this is the G is already, the first word is great, right? And here G is already capital, so here it will not do anything. Okay, but if you see the online, so the first letter O is of a smaller case, right? So it will convert to a capital O, right? And if you see the third letter, the training, the first letter T is capital, so it will not do anything there as well. So let me use the character vector here x, let me run with control enter. Okay, so if you see, the O is converted to a capital letter and remaining is as it is. Okay, so this is str2 title, right? So what it does, it converts first letter of each word into a uppercase or capital letter. Okay, so now we have another function str2 sentence. Okay, so str2 sentence, so what it does, it converts into a prop case, right? So if I write x here, so what it does, it just make G as a capital and others are in a smaller letter, right? So let me run this with control enter. Okay, if you see, G is in a capital letter and all other are in a small letter. Okay, so it converts first letter of the character vector into a upper and all other words are into low letter or lowercase or smaller. Okay. Okay, so now we'll see the Jira function. So let me write here grep right? So this function search for a particular pattern from a vector, right? And it provides the location there, right? Okay, so now we'll see the generic formula of grep. So grep, then here we'll write pattern, right? Then here we have to provide the string or character vector, right? And then we have other function ignore dot case is equal to true or false. If we want to check the particular pattern concerning the case, then we have to write here ignore dot case is equal to false, right? Then in that case it considers a particular case. We wanted us to check without considering the case, so in that case we have to write ignore dot case is equal to true. Okay, so let me check the okay, so let me do here the example. Let me see the example. Okay, let me show you the example. grep rep. So here we have to write pattern here, then we have to provide the character vector, and then we have to write here ignore dot case is equal to false, right? Because first wanted to check the particular string without ignoring the cases, right? So here it does not it does not ignore the case, right? while searching, right? That is it consider the case as well. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, so here instead of pattern, so this is general formula. Okay, so I have written here general formula. So instead of pattern I have created one variable pat, and instead of character vector x I have created here z, right? So I will use the z here, right? So let me run this. Perfect. So if you see, it has provided the output as an index, right? So at the first index we found abc. Okay, so if you see here we have abc, then at the second position, second index, right? So here also we have abc, and at the fourth, right? At the fourth we have abc. At the 3 also we have abc, but this is of uppercase, right? Capital letter, but we are searching for the small letter. And also we have provided here ignore dot case is equal to false, right? So that's why it is not checking for the, it is not ignoring the cases, right? So if I write here grep pat then z ignore dot ignore dot case is equal to true, so it okay, so here it ignores the cases, right, while considering the, so here it does not consider the case, right? Okay, so let me run this. So here I have provided ignore dot case is equal to true, right? So it does not consider the cases while searching for a pattern, right? So that's why it has provided the result here for index 3 as well. Okay, Perfect. Now we'll move to the other function, sub. So this function is sub. So sub is used to replace particular vector or string. Okay. So the general formula is sub, then here write pattern, right, then here are replacement, then the vector that we wanted us to replace, and the same thing, ignore dot case is equal to true or false, right? Perfect. So let me check the particular. So what it does, it search for a particular pattern, right, and it replaces that one, right, based on the condition whether we wanted to search ignoring the cases or considering the cases, right? So if you wanted us to replace a particular text, right, based on ignoring the cases, so in that case we'll write ignore.case is equal to true, right? And if you wanted us to replace a particular text while considering the cases, so in that case we'll write ignore.case is equal to false. Okay, now we'll see the real example of built-in function sub, right? So let me create one vector here, a1, and here I'll create SAS programming, right? Okay, now I'll use the sub. So here we'll, okay, and then we'll first provide the pattern. So pattern is I wanted to search SAS, right, and it replaced with R. Okay, and here we'll provide the vector. So character vector is a1, right? Okay, so let me run this. Okay, perfect. So let me run these sub functions with control enter. Perfect. So what it does, it replaces SAS with R here, right? So let me save into another character vector so that we can see the results. So let me print a2. If you see, this is R programming. Let me print a1 here as well so that we can see. So perfect. So this is very good functionality here. So similarly, we write here the ignore case is equal to true or ignore case is equal to false based on our requirement, right? Perfect. So now I'll move to the other function, paste. Okay, so paste is used to concatenate two or more than two string, right? So let me write here concatenate two or more string, right? So there are two paste functions, right? So one is paste and the other is paste 0, right? So let me show you the example. Okay, so let me write here create, right? So create online training, right? So let me put into a double quote so that, so paste is used to concatenate two or more than two character vector or string, right? So first is create, right, then the second character is online, and the third is training, right? And we have to provide the comma in between, right? So third, at the end we no need to provide any comma, right? But before that we have to provide the commas. So we can concatenate any number of strings or character vector, right? So let me run this. Okay, so this is perfect. Let me use the paste 0. So let me copy the same text here so that it will be easier for us to visualize, right? So let me run this paste 0. So if you observe, so in paste we have spaces, right, in between the words, right? But here in paste 0 we don't have any space. So if you want a character or if you wanted the result without a space, in that case we'll use paste 0, otherwise we'll use the paste, right? Perfect. Now we'll see the str split function, right? Str. Okay, so this is used to split the string or character vector. Okay, so now we'll create these two y and z here first, right? And now we'll use the str function, str split. Okay, so first I'll use on y, right? And I'll use as a space to split the texts, right? So what it does, it searches for a space, and based on that it split the whole sentence. Okay, let me run this. If you see, it has split it into three part, create online training, right? So if I remove here from this, if I remove the spaces here, so what it does, it split the individual letter, right? So let me run this. Okay, if you see, it has splitted each letter into a separate string, right? Okay, so these are the string function. Okay, perfect. I will see the math function. Let me store one variable here. X is equal to 2.8, right? So there are various functions, ceiling, floor, right? So we'll see one by one. So print ceiling. Okay, so ceiling returns the smallest integer which is larger than or equal to x, right? So it returns the smallest which is larger than or equal to x, right? So let me run this. So what it does, it returns 3, right? Because 3 is the smallest integer. Okay, so let me run this. Oh, perfect. So if we say, I will use the floor function, floor, and then here we'll use the same character, same vector. Okay, so it returns the largest integer which is smaller than or equal to x. Okay, let me run this. Okay, so if we say 2.8, so if we use the floors, then in that case it returns 2, right? So if I write here 2.1, so in that case the floor will be 2 and ceiling will be 3. Okay, so let me run this. Perfect. So if I use 2.0, so in that case ceiling and floor becomes the same. Okay, perfect. And if I converts to 2.01, so in that case ceiling becomes 3 and floor becomes 2. Okay, so similarly it works based on the nearest largest or a smaller integer, right? Perfect. I will use the square root function. Print sqrt, so this is square root, right? Okay, here we'll write x. Perfect. I will use the exponent function. Okay, perfect. So it converts e to the power x, right? So okay, so it returns e to the power exp to the power x, right? Perfect. I will use other function like log x, log base. So this is natural log, right? So natural, that is log base e, right? So let me run this. Perfect. I will learn log base 10, log base 10, right? So if I run this, okay, so these are basically different utility, different logarithmic scale, right? Now we'll use the other function, print sin x. Okay, similarly we'll have print cos x. Okay, and there are other functions as well, so I may miss some functions, so you can search the Google, and based on the utility we'll see other function in subsequent lectures, right? So now we'll move to statistical functions. Okay, so a statistical function here. Okay, so let me create one vector here. Okay, now we'll use the trunc function. Okay, so trunc, trunc, so it just returns the integer value, right? So let me use here x. Okay, if you see, so here it has provided 1, then 5, then the third is 5 here as well, so 7. Okay, so then 4, then 8. So it just provided the integer. It returns the integer ignoring the decimal part. Okay, perfect. Now we'll use the round function. Okay, so let me write here the generic formula for round. Right? So here we have to provide the correct. We have to provide the vector. Obviously, this should be a numeric vector or integer. Otherwise, it will not work, right? Because these are the statistical functions. So we have to provide the vector, right? Numeric vector, and then we have to provide the digit on which we wanted to round the particular vector, right? So if I write here 2, so what it does, it rounds the vector x up to 2 decimal point. Suppose I wanted to write here, suppose I write here 4, so it rounds the vector x up to 4 decimal point, right? So let me see the example here. Let me round x to a 2 decimal point, right? So let me write here 2. Let me run this. Okay, so if you see, it has rounded all the values up to 2 decimal point. Perfect. I will see the sum function. Suppose I write here x, so it sum all the values of a vector x, right? Okay, now we'll use the absolute function here, abs, so it converts the negative number into a positive one, right? So if I write here, if I run this, so if you see 4.0217, so here we have negative 4.0127, but it has converted into a positive one, right? Now we'll use the other function, minimum. Okay, so min, so it calculates the minimum of the particular numeric vector, right? So if you see, the minimum is 4.0127, right? Similarly, we have maximum. Okay, so max. Okay, we'll provide vector here, max. Then we'll mean. We'll calculate the mean with mean function. This is the mean. Then we'll provide the median. Okay, with median function, right? So here we have to write here the numeric vector, right? Perfect. These are the median. Then we can calculate the standard deviation using SD function, right? So here we have to provide the vector. So this is the standard deviation, right? So other are obvious, but maybe I'll write here absolute value. returns absolute value here. It returns minimum, then maximum, then it returns average or mean. Okay, then it returns median. Okay, then it returns standard deviation. Right, then we'll write there is one function range, so it calculates the range. Right, so range is basically a combination of two functions. So minimum, this is minimum and this is the maximum, right? So it runs minimum and maximum together. So if I write here, if I run the minimum one, see this is minimum one, and if you see the maximum, so maximum is 8.1265, right? So range is basically a combination of minimum and maximum, right? So perfect. Now we have function quantiles, and we'll write here x, and we'll see the 25th quantile. So it's 0.25. So if we write quantiles, right, then we have to provide the x and then the which quantiles we wanted to see. So if I write here 0.25, so it shows the 25th quantile. Let me run this. Okay, if you see 25th quantile. Okay, so quantile basically cuts the data point and divide the ranges of probability distribution into continuous interval, right, with equal probability. Okay, so if you wanted to see all quantiles, I will write here C 0.25, then fifth quantile 50, and then 75th quantile, right? So let me run this. Okay, if you see 25th quantile is 2.83, 50th quantile is 5.106750, right, and 75th quantile is this one, right? So here 50th quantile is the median as well, right? So if I see here, if I show you the median 5.10675, right? So if you see here 5.10675, so 50th quantile is the median, right? So this is a basic maths, right? The median is basically a value that cuts the data into two equal halves, right? So quantile also, if you see the 50th quantile, so it splits the data into two equal halves, and the value that splits the data into two equal halves becomes the 50th quantiles, right? So these are very related. Okay, so far so good. So we have seen various examples today. Okay, so now we'll stop here, and hope you find this video useful. So please support us on YouTube. We are also running the paid courses, so for that you can visit our website www.greatonlinetraining.com. If you have any questions or feedback, you can write into the comment box section, right? So thank you for your time.